let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the Siah Sidekick from Linds Handmade. This backpack is a lot bigger than I expected, and I've seen it in person, so tell me how that makes sense. But I absolutely love the way it came together. I used this super pretty sparkly vinyl that I'm testing. I got some wrinkles, but I think that's because my roll was kind of a scrap to begin with. But it turned out so pretty. I used Renew canvas that I carry on my website, which is made of recycled water bottles, and all the hardware is available on my website as well. So I hope you'll join me to sew this up. I also have a video cutting it in case you're curious about how to cut it out. But I think it turned out fantastic, and I can't wait to show you how to make it. We're gonna get started by making the marks on our main body exteriors and a mount down from the top. And this is on the wrong side. Okay. She says you can baste your interfacing to the bottom of the bag. I think we'll be okay, honestly, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, okay. Well, I fused both of my bottom stabilizers to the exterior, so I'm not going to worry about my lining. Not a big deal. So our main body liner, we want to measure an amount down as well, and that main body liner is that really long piece. I did mark the centers on the side. And then side gusset liners. Zipper. Center marks are created. Okay, and then it says you can add your purse feet. I'm going to go ahead and skip the purse feet. And then we're going to cut our webbing. So I don't have enough of my webbing to create like all my straps, but it looks like a lot of it is able to be done afterwards. So I'll cut the ones that are most important. So we're going to cut our grab handle. Rectangle ring tabs. And our O-ring tab. And then if you want to do a 1/2 inch webbing piece for your key clasp, you can do that. And yeah, I just have like little pieces of webbing left. That's okay. All right, now from our zipper tape, we need 2 pieces that are one size. wait, which size did I just measure? Okay. Okay. So that's it. And then we need 4 zipper pulls. So to one of the 9-inch zippers, we're not going to add a zipper pull yet, but you can add it to both the 8-inch and one of the 9-inch. So we'll set you guys aside. All right. So we're going to start by making the grab handle out of our 10-inch strip of webbing. We're going to grab 6 inches of double-sided tape. Along the bottom edge in the center. So you're going to have 2 inches on either end that isn't going to be sewn. Back stitch. I'm just taking my lighter to either end and then definitely across the bottom of the webbing just to make sure it doesn't fray. All right, and then on our 8-inch zippers, we're going to measure down from the top edge and make a small mark and then separate the teeth. Excuse me. Okay. We're going to fold it at the mark. You can melt it or baste it. So I've got my finger at that mark, and that's going to be folded up to meet the other side of our tape, or zipper tape. Just try to keep all of that together as best you can. So my preference is to use clips to hold it together at that mark that you made. And then slowly melt it together, and that usually helps it stay. But you may find something else works for you. But I find that to be the quickest for me rather than basting, and I always end up with ugly stitches. All right. And then you can tack the bottom of both zippers at 1/4 of an inch, just to make sure it doesn't come undone. And then make sure your zippers zip up to that direction as well. All right, so now we can grab our exterior side gusset pieces and our accent fabric. On the right side of the gusset, measure down and make a mark. On both sides. We're going to apply double-sided tape along the cut edge. I'm going to fold that back 1/4 of an inch. So if you make a 1 or a 1/2 inch mark, that's where you want that to meet, but it's going to be right up against the edge of your interfacing. So we'll peel that back. Press that into place. And if your side panels don't want to lay, or if like your cut edge doesn't lay nicely, you can snip into it just a teeny tiny bit more, but you don't want to snip too much. And then we're going to add some more double-sided tape to attach our zipper. And you'll see now that that mark that you made earlier is now on this side. So that's good. Open the prep zipper all the way and lay the top edge of the zipper tape face down at the mark along the top. Okay. So our zipper here. Top edge of that zipper at that line you created, and you're gonna line up the edge of your zipper with the edge of your folded fabric. Then you'll add a little bit more tape to add your peekaboo piece. Lining up the top edge up here. And then flip that over and make sure that your zipper tape is sitting correctly, etc. Looking good. So fun. All right, with the right side facing up, sew it 1/8 of an inch away. Okay. And I have my stitch length set to about a 4.5. And then we'll pivot across, zipping just a little bit to keep your zipper pull out of the way. So you'll see when you zip that up, just kind of sucks that in. And we'll mark the center along the bottom before we get too much further. So I'm going to fold this side. I've already got my marks made. More tape. attaching the one side, unzipping, attaching the other. And then just make sure, yeah, went over a little far. And you want to make sure that you're seeing an equal amount of that zipper tape on either side. A little more tape. Aligning the top edge. Pressing that down. I skipped a stitch, but I know how to fix it. So I'm going to grab a needle and some thread. I don't need that much, but you want a decent amount. This curved needle. This needle was straight many, many years ago. Not really. All right, so I'm just doing a quick little quilter's knot on the back of it. I'm going to go up through the hole where I lost my stitch. And I'm going to bring the area I lost back down and then go through the hole again. And pull that into place. And then it's like it never happened. And then I'll try to catch the back side too. Okay. So there's that completed. And then we're going to draw a horizontal line across the back, since this bag is going to be completed with a drop-in liner, I believe. So we're gonna prep our top anchor. I think we're gonna be kind of working on the back panel. So I don't have a front or a back. All of my vinyl is a solid color, so I'm not super worried about it. I'm gonna grab my little back anchor piece, 2 horizontal lines. All right. So we're going to be folding these up by 1/4 of an inch. So depending on what fabric you're using for this, you can use tape or iron or glue stick. And then we're going to lay some double-sided tape along the top and bottom edge of this. My tape is a mess, so don't worry about that. I lost the core. Got no core strength, you know? All right. Bottom strap anchors. We're going to take our little pieces, our rectangle rings, and our triangle strap anchors. Uno. And dos. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay. So we're doing that same kind of thing where we're gonna mark along the bottom and fold to meet it. If you've ever made the Dreamer pack, you could also just kind of copy those connectors. And then we'll trim off the little dog ear. Okay. And then we're gonna take our D-ring connector, our square ring and webbing, and fold that in. And then we're going to fold the bottom strap anchor in half, like this. And we'll set the connector into that seam about as far down as you can go. And then top stitch around. And we can also rivet through that for some extra strength. And instead of a rivet, I'm gonna do 2 rows of stitching. I don't wanna create a hole through my webbing. Either way is fine though. And this just gets nestled into that corner section. And then try to keep it consistent with how much overhang you have. Sewing across the bottom. And then going back around our connector. All right, so now you've got those 2 good looking connectors. And then the optional key ring. Okay, so a lot to prep before we can put all this together. So I'm just gonna clip this together for now. Set this. We're gonna create the flap closure. So we're gonna need our flap pieces, exterior, interior. Right sides together. And we're going to be sewing all the way around at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And the straight side up here is our top. So, yeah, we'll start at these little angled sides. And I'm going to switch my stitch length down to like a 4. And that'll be nice around the curves. Okay. Trim our excess seam allowance. Trim notches around the curves. We'll just use our pinking shears. Ew, stabilizer goes in after. That's okay. Especially with Peltex, it doesn't turn well, but I use Decaville Heavy, so I think we'll be just fine. So pressing all that out. For me, the side with the Peltex fused is the bottom. And I'm gonna kind of clip this. I'm rolling that seam in between my fingers. Clipping that nicely. And we can sew all the way around that. And then we'll need our turn lock piece, and we just want a little opening piece. And I always like to grab a little magnet to keep with something like that so that I can keep my screws. Okay, and then we'll increase that stitch length for top stitch. Love it. Now I don't know which side's which, but yeah, this is my front because it has that like cool little swoop, little swoopiness. All right, measure 1 inch. Okay. Let's find the center of the top and we can snip. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get my screwdriver to open up my turn lock. And I'm gonna keep my screws connected to that magnet. I'll just slowly separate that. And then lay it down centered on this mark. Okay, yeah. And then we'll slowly kind of cut that out just beyond the mark. Just make sure that it like appears centered as well. And then you need to cut slightly beyond this. So careful with your scissors. Oh, you can cut through the middle. You're gonna cut all that away anyway. Sharp scissors, very helpful for this. All right, and then we're gonna install that piece. Again, if you've moved your piece, try to remember what's the front. Okay. I think I need to cut just a little bit more. I also need to punch holes for my screws. Yeah, this just needs to be a little bit bigger because you don't want to see your fabric past the edge of that metal. So I think that's good. And then I'm just gonna punch holes on either side. And then I'm just gonna put a teeny tiny bit of glue around this. And this is B7000 from Amazon. I love the pinpoint tip that it has. And I purchased it because Jess from So Many Creations recommended it to me. So now we're gonna flip that over and make sure your fabric is hidden. And you can see your screw holes are open and lined up. Then we'll add the back side and line that up. Whoop. There we go. Yeah. And hopefully it's not crooked. Maybe a little, but it'll be fine. Okay. Oh, okay. Main body liner pocket. Okay. Are we ever gonna get back to doing the back side? Okay, way down there, page 21. Okay, I'm following the rules, following. Okay, interior zipper pocket on the main body liner. So there's this. I'm just gonna kind of put all these pieces back together. We know we'll need our handle and our O-ring and our little O-ring connector piece. So for now, I'll just kind of keep that together as a little pod. Move the rest. I wonder if I have a good little label situation. course I do. Pretty sure this one will work. It's got a little bit of pink and blue in it, but it looks good. All right, so we'll need our liner, interior zipper pockets, which are the shorter ones, 9-inch zipper without the pull. We will need the pull. I'm just gonna check the cut list. Interior zipper pocket. Yes, smaller. Yes. Label your pieces. All right, one of those overlays. Zipper. All right. 3 inches. So if your liner is directional, you'll probably have wanted to cut this just a little bit differently. We're going to measure some inchage down from the top edge centered. We're going to tape this down. Just gently press that down centered. We will sew around that outside edge. I'm going to start in the corner at the top. Pull your threads toward the back. And then make sure you're tying the correct threads together. And then you don't want to pull too tight or too loose. You want to have pretty accurate tension. We're going to cut away the excess lining. Cute, 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 cute. Alrighty. All right. Double-sided tape to the back. This is where our zipper is gonna go. So we're gonna add our lining pieces. So zipper face up and fabric face up. We're gonna base that down at 1/4 of an inch. And then you want the side with less fabric to be at the top. Did I cut mine wrong? I don't know. Okay, we'll attach the zipper. I guess it doesn't matter. Well, okay, press that. We're going to unpeel the bottom. We'll have all the excess going to the top. And we'll center this. And again, I've only peeled my tape from one section. And my zipper pull is zipping to the left. All other fabric out of the way, starting underneath. Long threads. We're going to tie that off in the back. We're going to set this flat and lay that down as well. Peel off the rest of the tape. And we'll sew around that. Okay. Make sure your lining is folded in the direction it should go, and then you start your needle in exactly where you left off. Pivot. Tying that off. All right, and now we can trim just the one side of the pocket. And then we'll close up that pocket. Alrighty, and so I want to add my little name tag under this little piece. So I'm going to add some double-sided tape to it. I'm making sure that my lining is folded out of the way of that zipper pocket. And I'll just center it an inch below this. I think that'll be cute. Yeah. Long tails again, because we want to make sure and then make sure you're tying coordinating threads. All right, we've got that. We're gonna create the interior gusset pocket. So I want my side panels and that cute little pocket. I've got it folded in half with wrong sides together. Top stitching across the top. I just did once, but you could go ahead and do twice if you wanted to. And then you can baste everything together if you'd like. I'm gonna find my center. Oh, okay, okay. So we're gonna make a little pleat. I got it. So yeah. All right, baste around the whole thing. Trust the process. Okay, we're gonna line up the top. Match the curves on that bottom corner. And we're gonna create this little outward pleat. So that you've got plenty of space inside that pocket. Okay, so we'll baste all that together. And then if you want to add like a little woven label to the lining, this would be a cute place to kind of baste it so it's there. I think this one kind of matches. Made by a sloppy sewist. Why not? So now we're going to create the bottle sleeve. Okay, so with the bottle sleeve right side up, fold the top edge down, right sides together, and sew at a 3/8 inch. Turn the tube, top stitch, 3/8 from top and bottom. And we'll take our other side. I wonder why 3/8. This would be a cute place to put like a little stay hydrated tag. Put your water in. Okay. Okay, and this should go right where it starts to curve. And that is your bottle sleeve. Okay, attaching the side gusset liners to the main body liner. So we're going to find our centers. Hello. Okay, I understand. So 1/2 inch just along the straight part of that bottom curve. Again, I didn't read the full pattern, so I don't have that stabilizer, and it's gonna be okay. All right, we'll attach both pieces. Only your lining. Don't grab an exterior and try to attach it to this. Okay. Okay, and we're gonna clip this. Start at the top using 3/8 and increase to 1/2. This is so our lining is smaller in the bottom than our exterior. So things fit just so. And it's such a gentle curve that things should fit without any problem. And I love that the sides have such surface area and it's not wasted. She's intentionally added those pockets and such. Love that. Okay. Yep, and then she says to kind of take some time and reinforce those pocket areas. And then trim from 1/8 to 1/4. Okay. So starting at 3/8, you can even change your stitch length to a 4. And then as we go down, increase And so what we can do is just at that pocket right before it starts, we could do an 1/8 of an inch from our existing stitch. Just right around that. And then on this side, I'm going to start there at my 1/2 an inch. And then taper to the 3/8. And then same thing, just that 1/8 of an inch reinforcement stitch along the pocket. And we'll trim the excess. Super cute. And then we're just repeating all that on the other side. Three-eighths. Increasing to that 1/2 inch. I'm just gonna sew further into the lining until I get to the other mark, just to save some time. We're at that 1/2 inch still, get into the pocket, and that's where I'll taper to the 3/8 and finish it off. And then for reinforcement, just another row of stitching around that. Making sure everything is staying out of the way. And then we'll trim the rest. All right. There's that. And then we're gonna tape and fold that together. Taping right at that line we made. And if you've not done a drop-in liner before, that's what this is. We're creating finished edges to then drop the bag inside to only top stitch once, and this prevents any birthing of the bag, which can make it easier but sometimes harder, but I think mostly easier. And so I'm going to just leave this untaped. No, I'll go ahead and tape it. And then she has you put in that little key clip if you would like it. I'm gonna press open my seam allowance just a little. And you're folding the raw edge of that fabric to meet the line that you've drawn. Fantastic. Okay. We can set that aside. Creating the zipper pocket on the back main body exterior. Okay. So we're gonna grab that same back panel. Make sure your mark is at the top. I think if you somehow did get your line messed up, you could always redraw it, but you already drew it, so it doesn't hurt to just verify. All right, so a measurement in and a measurement down is where we're gonna line this up. Yeah. Oh, dang it. I forgot to increase my stitch length, but I think it's okay. trying not to lose my stitch. Okay, I think if I cut that, I'll be okay. Okay, the longer pieces are gonna get tied together and the shorter ones tied together. Okay. So now we're going to cut away the excess. Carefully. Almost got a little carried away. Okay. Okay, and these are all the same size. Yes. Okay, so one of these we're gonna mark. We should have already marked, but I didn't. But I'm gonna fake it. I'm gonna pretend I did. I didn't even print out that pattern piece. It's okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mark it here. And it'll be fine. Yeah, because I put wrong sides together, it'll be okay. And we're gonna open that up. That way you've got a nice completed area with a nice big zipper, and it's completely lined. You don't see any wrong spots of your zipper. Yeah, main body exterior, and then this gets placed over top. Okay. You want this to zip towards the top. Oh. So I'm going to peel off my tape. Make sure your zipper pull doesn't migrate into it. There's my top edge. And then center that. Yeah. And then make sure you've got plenty of tape on the top and the bottom, or zipper tape, not just tape. Okay, and then we're gonna open this up. Opening up each little piece. Okay. And that's going to cover up like that. And then I had enough excess tape. When I stuck it down, it's where it's going to go. Okay, but you want to make sure you've got this in line with where you're going to be sewing. Yep. Yep. All right. Okay. Long threads so that you can start and stop just right. I did not change my stitch length, but that's okay. You just want to go slow. Keep your zipper zipped for as much of it as you can. Okay. So fun fact, I did not catch the liner like at all. I must have folded it just way wider than it needed to be. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna glue it down because I don't wanna add a second row of these stitches to this, honestly. I'm like, no. I caught the top and the bottom so it's not completely unsewn, or I would probably change that. But yeah, we didn't catch that like at all. I like just barely didn't catch that. It's almost rude. Yeah, that's in there. And I'm gonna top stitch again. I don't trust glue. Okay, definitely caught it that time. So now it's glued and sewn into place. Great. Very happy for you. Okay, so now we'll take, after what feels like forever, that lining, and we're going to sew that around we'll sew that together at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, 1/8 to 1/4. I'm going to do 1/4. And we're almost ready to like put this all together, which is very exciting. I think it looks nice with all that stitching. It's very eye-catching. All right. So now we need all of our prepped pieces, and of course our tape has given up on that little 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so we've got our grab handle, top anchor, bottom strap anchors, back main body exterior, O-ring tab, and our flap, which it doesn't say in step 1 of that, but it's in the picture, so we know we'll need it. Okay, remove the paper from the bottom edge of that top anchor. And make a measurement down from the top edge, which has our mark, our line. Tape at the bottom, untaped at the bottom, I should say. So before you press along the bottom, make sure you've got it right up against the edge of your ruler, and then press. And then we'll sew along at 1/8 of an inch. And we'll be sewing through our pocket then too. I don't know if we should fold it out of the way. No. Yeah, okay. Increase your stitch length if you want to. I'm going to mark my center really quick too. Top center. Okay. Yeah, so don't fold it down. Now that's good. Okay, flap closure right side up. So your screws should be on the wrong side. Center it. Okay. All right. All right, loop the O-ring around, and then we're going to center that. And it'll go all the way down. Seam side of the grab handle. Okay, so that is the top stitching. I would normally do that the other way, but it does not matter. And that's just going to go right next to it. Okay. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do super quick is I'm going to baste all of that underneath. You're not going to see it. So I'm just going to move this out of the way so I can get everything lined up. Okay. Now, while I'm top stitching this, nothing is going to move. Cutie. She's a cutie. All right, and then you can add some rivets here to help reinforce, but again, I don't want to poke a hole in my webbing. So I've got a line of stitching underneath to reinforce, and then we've got that one. And I did just a little back tack once through each of those to help disperse that weight. So now we're gonna lay our back anchors. And that square ring should be pointing up. We're going to baste that down. Okay, I think that's everything like prepped and pretty much ready to go. Okay. So we're going to sew the bottom base on at 3/8. I've got my stitch length set to that same stitch length. And then we're going to top stitch through. I've got 2 layers of Deck of the Light. I think the black webbing is going to be a great choice. Just have to get more. All right. So now we've got the bottom of the front, and I don't have an actual name tag on here yet, so I'm going to do that before I go any further. And we're also going to need to add the other portion of our our flip lock. And then 2.5 centered should be okay. This vinyl is just so beautiful. Okay, so we're going to attach this in this way because everything kind of loops around. So clipping that and a 3/8 inch again. Top stitching through the exterior. And I'm going to mark the center of the bottom. And we'll be able to mark and add our turn lock once we've got the bag like all together. yeah, we'll be able to see where it lands. Okay. Okay, 2 inches from the bottom base. All right. These are our last 2 pieces to attach. Okay, and then it's a 3/8 inch seam allowance on the exterior. I'm gonna stitch only along the base where it's flat. And then if you have like a left and a right preference for your side panels, keep that in mind before you get that all started. So 3/8 of an inch all the way around that curve. You could add staples if you felt like you needed to, but I think we're gonna be a-okay. And that curve is a nice size, so you don't have to worry too much about it being so hard to sew. All right. Wow. This is actually, I don't want to say bigger than I thought it was, but it's pretty big. I've literally seen it in person, but I'm already like, oh my God, what if you printed it out at 90% or 85? Okay. For a second I was like, my flap's on wrong, but it's not. It's okay. Woof. All right. 3/8 of an inch. It's not helpful to have that flap in there in any way, shape, or form, so maybe don't do that. And I'm going to use my screwdriver just to help me hold that curve into place. And then just like with the other, or I should say with the lining, you could do another row of stitching just around the curve for reinforcement. Not like you have pockets or anything, but you know, can't hurt. So we're gonna trim down the seam allowance after the top strap anchor. So now we've got all of our seams well reinforced. You don't want that bottom stitching to come undone. Don't cut through your strap connector at the bottom either. Maybe just leave your back panel altogether. Don't risk it. Okay, so that's one side done. Looking good. And then I think after I do this reinforcement stitch in the curve, it'll be time to change my bobbin. Don't cut through your anchors. Okay. So we're gonna flip this. Well, I guess we'll tape and then flip. And I'm just doing 4 strips of tape. And then I'm also probably going to tape my lining and my exterior together when I put it together, just to prevent any shifting. And that's just gonna fold over top our interfacing and meet up with the edge. I should not be doing this right now. Should I? I don't know. Yeah, okay. It's so pretty. Okay. Oh. Moment of truth. It is very voluminous. Okay. I think I'm going to put this in just to see. I think so. Yeah, zipper pocket to the back side, which I actually prefer. My zipper pockets are on opposite sides, so I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to clip the back side first, lining up all my side seams. And then I feel like I can get a better feel for how that flap will sit. Oh, okay. I had that on the wrong seam. Okay. I definitely think if you wanted to, you could make it with just a magnetic snap. If you don't believe in your turn lock skills. Okay, so I'm gonna clip the flap where I want it to go. Kind of get a feel for it. kind of see if that's where I like it. Is it centered? I think so. Let's see. Oh, okay. 6 inches down from the front side and place a mark. Okay. So there's a mark, but I'm just gonna make a dot where I like it and see. Okay, mine's 5 inches. But maybe I'm a little too loosey-goosey with it. It needs to be lower, probably. Okay. So now I'm at 5.75. I'm going to stick with it. All right, we'll grab that washer. And mine has 4 little bits. So we're gonna lay that in the center and mark the top little lines. And then really, really carefully, that doesn't do that. Just open those up. Okay. And I've got that like wrapped around there pretty good. So then we can finish clipping all that together. I never did tape this together, but I think it'll be all right. And this bag has a large enough opening that I think will be okay to top stitch it on this. And then I'll be able to like clip on something that seems like a like the backpack straps, but it won't work the same. And I am using ultra slim slide adjusters in 1 inch that I carry on my website so that there won't be any slippage. All right. And this is where you could switch to the cylinder arm if you weren't so darn stubborn about it. I am gonna change my bobbin. Yeah, good. All right. long threads, and I'm going to start in the seam. Okay. Okay, holding on to my starting threads. Long tails again. We'll pull our threads to the wrong side. Oh crap. There we go. Sometimes when I get the thread right in the hole it's supposed to go into, they just get a little tangled. And I have to figure out which is which. I'm like, wait, what did I just do? There we go. Okay, there is such a thing as threads that are too long, clearly. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my needle and I'm going to slide these back into the seam allowance, never to be seen by the light of day again. So I'll pull it, snip it, and when it's shortened, it's stuck in there. And I'm just melting that knot a little bit. All right, kind of straighten out everything nice and connected. We'll go ahead and zip that up. Those curves though, and then that flap. Yay. Okay. So you're gonna wrap, we're just pretending here, okay? We're just pretending. You're gonna wrap one end of your webbing around your slide adjuster. I like to fold that over so you don't have a raw edge. You're gonna loop through behind the square ring, over over your slide adjuster through the top and the bottom. And then this is gonna get wrapped around your O-ring. So that becomes your backpack strap. And I have two mismatched webbings. Yeah, these are mismatched webbings. So I'm not going to actually sew these down. I'm just going to clip them on for now. Okay. So through the technically back, over top the slider, and then wrap around here, folding that under. And then it looks like she's just doing 2 rivets or a row of stitches. So obviously those are not even, but that's the gist of it. So that is it for the Siah Sidekick from Linds Handmade. It's so cute. Such a big size too. Like much bigger than I anticipated. And you've got those 2 pockets inside, the water bottle pocket and then the side pocket. And then I decided to put my front pocket on the zipper pocket on the front so that the pockets are on opposite sides to better distribute the weight, but you can just keep it on the back, that's fine too. And then the flap with the little turn lock, so cute. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you grab this pattern because it is, I mean, it's a classic, right? Thanks for watching. Bye.